I'm Sophia. Standing in the opulent event hall, the air heavy with the scent of roses and the sound of clinking glasses, I felt a strange sense of calm. The man standing before me, his eyes wide with shock, was Ethan. Once my husband, now a mere shadow of the life I left behind. It all started with a simple invitation. Ethan's 40th birthday party. A part of me wanted to ignore it, to let the past stay buried. But another part, a stronger part, knew I had to go. I wanted to show him, and myself, how far I'd come. Looking back, my life with Ethan was like a well-rehearsed play. We lived in a cozy condo outside Boston. His job in finance provided a steady income, and our days fell into a predictable rhythm. Dinner at the kitchen island, weekend trips to the grocery store, and holidays with his colleagues. It was safe, but it wasn't the life I had dreamed of. One fateful Tuesday evening, Ethan came home early. He loosened his tie and sat across from me, his face solemn. "Sophia, this isn't working anymore. We need to get a divorce," he said, as if he were reading from a script. I thought I had misheard him. "What? Divorce? How can you say that?" I stammered. He explained that we had grown apart, that I was stuck in a rut, just cooking, cleaning, and chatting with the neighbors. I reminded him that he was the one who had asked me to quit my job at the art gallery. He wanted a calm, perfect home to come back to, and I had given up my career, my friends, and my dreams for him. But he was unmoved. He admitted there was someone else, a woman who made him feel alive. It was like a punch in the gut. 12 years of marriage, and it meant nothing to him. He offered me some money and told me to go back to the old family farmhouse in the White Mountains, an inheritance from my grandparents. I was devastated, but I also knew I had no choice. I packed my bags and drove north, leaving behind the life I had built with Ethan. The drive was long and silent, the hum of the highway filling the empty space in my heart. When I finally reached the farmhouse, it was a sight to behold. The once white siding was now gray and peeling, the porch sagged, and the yard was overgrown with weeds. It was a far cry from the modern condo I had left behind. Inside, the house was frozen in time. Dust danced in the weak beam of my flashlight, and the air was thick with the smell of mold and stale air. Memories of my childhood came flooding back. I had hated this place as a child, with its endless chores and isolation. But now, it was my only refuge. I knew I had to make the best of it. I found a crowbar in the shed and started prying the boards off the windows. With each board that came off, a little bit of light and hope entered the house. I scrubbed the counters, swept the floors, and slowly, the house began to come back to life. One morning, as I was carrying a pile of debris to the porch, I heard the crunch of footsteps on the gravel drive. A tall man, wearing a flannel shirt and jeans, stood at the edge of the yard. His dog, a golden retriever named Max, trotted beside him. He was skeptical at first, thinking I was breaking into the house. But when I told him it was my inheritance, his expression softened. His name was Lucas, and he lived about a mile down the road. He had rebuilt his own house after his divorce. Lucas offered to help me with the repairs, and I was hesitant at first. I didn't want to rely on anyone again. But there was something about his honesty and kindness that made me say yes. Over the next few weeks, Lucas and I worked side by side. He taught me how to fix the wiring, how to patch the roof, and how to make the old pump work again. Max became my constant companion, following me from room to room. In the evenings, we would sit on the porch steps, sharing a thermos of coffee. Lucas told me about his ex-wife, who had left him when their daughter was 10. He had raised his daughter alone, and she was now in college. His story resonated with me. I realized that being left behind didn't mean the end. It was a chance to start over, to find myself again. I began to see the beauty in the simple things, like the sunrise over the mountains, the sound of the birds singing, and the feeling of accomplishment when I completed a task. One evening, as we were sitting by the river, watching the stars, Lucas leaned in and kissed me. It was a gentle, tender kiss, and it made my heart flutter. I had thought that part of me was dead, but here, with Lucas, I felt alive again. He asked me to move in with him, and I was shocked. We had only known each other for a month, but I could feel the sincerity in his words. I hesitated, but my heart told me that this was the right thing to do. With Lucas's support, I enrolled in floral design classes. I discovered that I had a natural talent for it, and soon, I was supplying bouquets to local shops and wedding venues. My confidence grew, and I began to wear dresses that made me feel beautiful, not for Ethan's approval, but for myself. Now, standing here at Ethan's birthday party, I was a different woman. I was radiant, with a new sense of purpose and a growing family. Ethan's eyes widened when he saw me. He didn't recognize me at first. "Happy birthday, Ethan," I said, my voice warm but distant. He stammered, trying to find the right words. "Sophia, you look amazing." I thanked him, sparing him the effort of trying to finish his sentence. I told him that I wanted to thank him for setting me free. I had found something better, a life filled with love, purpose, and happiness. I placed my hand on my stomach, a subtle gesture to let him know that Lucas and I were expecting. The color drained from his face. He forced a smile, but I could see the bitterness in his eyes. He had lost the life he once had, and I had found a new one. As I walked away, arm in arm with Lucas, I felt a sense of closure. The past was behind me, and the future was full of possibilities. The farmhouse, once a symbol of my past, was now a place of new beginnings. And I knew that I had not been abandoned. I had been reborn. The party faded into the background as we drove back to the farmhouse. Max sat in the back seat, his tail wagging. When we arrived, the moon was high in the sky, casting a silver glow over the yard. Inside, the house was filled with the smell of fresh flowers. I sat by the window, thinking about how far I had come. Lucas brought me a mug of chamomile tea and sat beside me. "Are you okay?" he asked. I nodded, a faint smile on my face. "Better than okay. I think I finally understand that endings are just new beginnings." He took my hand, his touch warm and comforting. "You set yourself free, Sophia. You're an amazing woman, and I'm so lucky to have you." I leaned my head on his shoulder, feeling grateful for the life we had created together. The future was uncertain, but I was ready to face it with Lucas by my side. And as I looked out at the mountains, I knew that my story was just beginning.